Hi, my name is Claddy. Today, let's do a warm tone fall makeup look. The original idea of today is just me sitting here trying to create a fall autumnal makeup look because, as you might know, and I love YouTubers and content creators from the US, but I've been hearing a lot about fall, and it's like it's stereotypical, and I think it's ignorant for me to say, but like every time fall comes, you see a lot of US citizens, specifically women, rave about how much they love fall, how much they love the weather, how much they love pulling out the sweaters, and it's just that Thanksgiving, Halloween, moving to Christmas kind of mentality that makes everyone want to talk about fall. And I think that's fun. That's just like a silly little idea, something that you love for the aesthetic and for the fun of it. It could be pushed to the extreme end of overconsumption, and people try to find decorations, people try more clothes, will try more makeup just to fit the aesthetics. So I think there is some bad outcomes from that kind of trend, but I think if we take it at a moderate level and if we see it as something that we can have fun with, I think it can be very harmless. And I'm a woman too, so I'm inspired and influenced by everything aesthetics, and the makeup look is really iconic, you know, very warm, brown toned, leaning more on the matte side rather than dewy and sunburn of the summer. So the makeup look could be something that I can try to experiment on without feeling that I'm honing too much onto the trend, onto the subgenre of fall addict. I don't know what I'm talking about, but that's kind of the idea of today's video. And I saw the video this morning from Julia Adams. I hope that I remember her name correctly, and she made a fall makeup video, but the tone that she picked is black cherry, which is so appropriate for fall. And it's like, wow, I really want to do a makeup look like that, but the intention of today's video is about this kind of vibe, this kind of color, this kind of tone, so like warm, earthy brown, a little bit deep and darkened, like not bright orange, but it's like a very muted and darkened orange. So that's kind of the theme that I'm going for today's look, and I hope you enjoy it. I have my coffee with me right now, and now I'm burning a candle, so I'm getting all the vibe, like I'm setting up myself to channel that makeup look in me. Although it's moving into spring in Australia, so I don't know, but like it's still a bit cold here, so it still counts, right? So I'm trying very hard today to not just ramble about random things like I usually do, and just focus on the makeup. So I'm using the L'Oreal Infallible Forward Concealer. This is a matte, a little bit full coverage concealer, so I think it would fit into this fall vibe, and to a certain degree it would be very appropriate for this kind of weather inspired or like weather appropriate makeup look, because I don't know, like when I think of fall and winter, I don't assume that people would want to wear dewy and sheer makeup look, because I guess, I don't know, but would they? I don't know. It feels like in the fall and winter the weather is a bit colder, so you might want to wear something that's a bit more hydrating. I don't know. But to me, like in my opinion, I would definitely go for something that a little bit matte because I have oily skin, or at most I want to go for something hydrating sand but not too dewy, because dewiness is the arch nemesis of my skin. My skin is so oily and it's kind of gross at the end of the day if I have something extremely dewy on top of my already greasy skin. This concealer, like I said, it is matte. It tends to be pretty full coverage, but if I just use a small amount and don't layer a lot of powder on top of it, it won't look too heavy. But I have to be careful with the amount that I use and also the kind of powder that I lay on top. But overall, I'm not perfect, so like sometimes I forget the kind of powder that would look good on it and then I'll mess it up. But overall, I think this is still a very good concealer. What am I doing? It's like conceal a lip. I don't need that. Once again, this concealer is still very beautiful. It gives me a lot of coverage. Look at this, like a little bit goes a very long way. But somehow it serves some purpose in my concealer collections. That's why I want to keep it. The shade is a bit light to me though, but after years and years of using it, I feel like I got used to the shade and I don't mind it any much. The shade is not extremely horrible, but definitely twilight, and it has like a pale yellow undertone, which is not my undertone. So I would prefer something that a little bit more neutral, has a bit more peach in it. Moving to a powder, I have the Eglips Blur Powder Pact. It looks like this. This is a pretty standard, pretty decent setting powder. It's mattifying, that's why I pick it for today's look, because it's lightweight enough to look natural on my skin, but still mattifying enough for the look that I'm thinking of. But I have to make sure that I tap off all the excess because it has a tendency to be a little bit heavy if it's not diffused to my skin. So make sure that I pick up a little bit, tap it out, and then press it, but like press and dust it at the same time. The makeup look doesn't have anything to do with brown, so I'll guess I just fill in my brow with this Oh Hey Brown Micro Precision Pencil from Misguided. And yeah, we can just skip through the brows. I guess bronzers are kind of an emphasis on a autumn makeup look as well, so I'm using two bronzing products today. The first one is a cream bronzer stick. This is the Australis Dewy Daring bronzer. I got the shade Ride or Die, and I have Essence Bronze Your Way bronzing palette. There are 3 shades in this palette. This is Downtown Bronze, Major Bronze, and Tropical Bronze. So I think I'm gonna go with the cream bronzer first and maybe use a mixture of these 2 shades. So I like I said, this is more of a matte look, but I still want to have a little bit of glow, so I'm gonna use a tiny bit of this shimmer bronzer in the middle to illuminate my skin a little bit, but not too much. I still want to stick to the matte concept. This is a bronzer stick, but I'm experimenting with a little bit of contour with this one, and obviously it's not gonna be that face changing, face shifting kind of a moment to me, but I feel like it's worth the try. Contour is is something that I never learned to do together with false lashes. That's something that through my years of applying my makeup, I never actually get down to learn how to do those steps. I don't think because they are hard to do, or like because I have to spend a lot of time doing them, or because I don't find them effective. Personally, I don't think that the way that I do my makeup would hugely benefit from doing those steps, because I couldn't find the values in doing things like that. Like for example, like contouring will give your face a little bit of a lift, give yourself a little bit of a structure, like creates a bit more shadow. So I think to a lot of people, they find the values in doing it. They find it changing the way that they see themselves after the makeup look. I don't normally feel that. I find the best transformations of me before and after makeup is heavily dependent on the colors. So I think I want to experiment more on the colors rather than the technique to change features on my face itself. And there's always a theories behind color. We have learned a lot about color theory. If you watch YouTube video long enough, you'll learn about that. And you learn different techniques to do certain type of makeup, like bridal makeup, graduation makeup, full glam makeup, natural, cold girl, strawberry, tomato makeup, all sort of trend, and it would be appropriate for certain occasions and certain purposes. So I think there's so much to learn, but in that way I refused to learn how to apply for lashes. And if you don't know yet, I stopped wearing mascara for a year and a half already, and I don't think that I could see myself going back to mascara regularly, because I don't want to push myself to the pressure of applying mascara to make my lashes look better, similar to applying for lashes, because I don't see myself at the best with better lashes. Like, I don't know, like mascara is very essential for some people, because I feel like they are very passionate the way that they see themselves with better lashes. I see myself better with better colors on my face, like my blushes, my eyes, my lips, all the color that blended together to give myself a little bit of a aesthetic concentrations. You know, like with colors on your face, you feel like I have escaped the territory of just being a human. I'm somewhere else, like this is just not flesh and skin and bones anymore. There's something artificial. Like, I never believed that makeup should be natural, because I don't want my makeup to be natural. Because I'm refusing the version of myself being a human. All of that is not natural, and all of that has something wrong with the way that I become a human. So you should just stop believing that being a human has something natural and imperfect, and it's okay. You have to pretend that, oh, there's a perfect version of yourself that looks naturally beautiful, although you apply all sort of products on your face, and that's artificial, that man-made. Like, I don't find a problem of being artificially made up with the makeup on your face. So I think colors and all sort of texture and shimmering effect on my face would make me escape from just being human to a territory that's like, oh, I'm a piece of art right now, like in a nutshell. I don't consider myself a piece of art, because no, I'm not. But But sometimes, delusionally, I would think of myself like that with all sort of beautiful colors on my face. And I think this makeup look could be interpreted the same ways, like you use a specific color story to make yourself a little bit supernatural, and there's a chromatic spectrum that you have perceived from the outside world. Now you apply it to your skin, like you observe all sort of color changes when the weather changing from summer to fall, and you want to bring it to your skin and turn yourself into a version of that climate phenomenon. And I think that's so unique, and yeah, there's something that's beautiful, man-made, unnatural, but so intelligent about the whole process. To use ourselves as a model so that we can experiment with our intelligence and our perceptions of the seasons. I'm nicely bronzed, which is good. I'm using a 4-tone blush right now. I think so. This is the NYX Buttermelt bronzer. I have the shade Bud and You. I always say that this is actually the darkest shades within this bronzer range, and I use it as my blush. But I have to be very careful with everything. Because this is really the most pigmented substance that I ever put on my face, and it could go wrong pretty easily, but it's very blendable. Like, I appreciate that it's quite blendable, so I never actually got into a situation when I had too much color on my face. Like, this is quite bold but manageable, but I've never encountered situations where I have to think a way to remove some product of this bronzer out of my face, so I couldn't speak for that. But I feel like if that ever happened, it would be very easy for me to use a clean brush to pick up the excess product. So it does look scary, but maybe it's not as scary as I think. This is like a red on my skin. It's leaning more of a red, but it has so much brown undertone. It's so warm and a little hint of purple. I like this color a lot. Like, I started watching a bunch of reviews and swatches of this bronzer before I decided to get it. I was just so amazed by how good this color looks on the swatches, also on some darker skin tone. But this is beautiful. But do you think this is a good bronzer color? Because I've heard opinions that this is not a good bronzer color because it's so red. Would there be a skin tone that could benefit from this reddish tone bronzer? I would be very interested to know that, to be honest, because for a while there were no bronzer for cool to peach to olive skin tone, and people was like, oh, all the bronzer was so yellow and orange, is always so warm, and then there's a weight of rosy tone bronzer, and now it comes to the point that's, wow, this is quite red. Like, I do think it has a lot of red in it, although I don't know, maybe not that much red, but I'm seeing something, and I need to point it out, that because of the yellowness of the concealer, my under eye has a giant contrast with the blush. It could be the reason why I look like I have a really bad sunburn, like I'm wearing my sunglasses and I got sunburned around this area. So I think I messed up this look a little bit, just a little bit. And also because of how light the concealer is, the contrast is even more prominent. So I think I could take off a little bit with this sponge, hopefully. Do you still remember this palette? This is the palette I want to use today because the color story reminds me so much of the autumnal, fall-toned, iconic color story that I had in my memories, like vividly, like a few years ago when people were still really into warm tones and full glam look. This is the Urban Decay Born to Run palette. This is very, very old. It used to be one of my favorite, and I wish I could use it more often. Like, I feel bad for not being able to use it more often, and that's on me. It's not like someone forces me to not use it. When I look at this palette this morning, I thought of the I Need a Warm palette from Natasha Denona. And I don't need a warm palette. Like, I can get this right now, straight away. I don't need a warm palette because, first of all, in the grand scheme of things, I don't really like warm tone on my eyes. Like golden, yellow, orange, bronze warm tone, they are not my cup of tea. Second of all, I have this palette. So if you think of a 12 pan palette, think of the first 4 shades on top right here, and the quad right here, and maybe these 2 shades, the copper shade and the more neutral cool tone brown shades here, and 2 matte shades. Just get them together into a 12 pan eyeshadow palette. I think I have a better I Need a Warm palette than the Natasha Denona's one. That's my opinion. I want to start with my go-to. I always go to this shade every time I use this palette. It's very powdery though. I don't remember it to be this powdery. It could be because of its age, so I don't know. But this is my go-to shade. It's called Weekender. I'm going to use it as my transition shade. I remember when I first tried this palette, I thought this is so pigmented, and it is in a way, but I don't think it's as pigmented as some of the other ones that I have tried throughout the years. But I remember the color payoff is so great and so easy to blend, and this color story is so eye-catching. Like, at the time, this is so colorful, but now I can argue that it's more on the neutral side. I'm not sure this is a normal sound phenomenon to a normal person like I am, hopefully, but I don't get inspired by Australian autumn as much as I am with the United States autumns. And when I say the United States autumns, it's not a meteorological phenomenon occur within the territory of that country in North American continent. I mean, there's a culture of autumn in the US that I feel so influenced by. I don't know, like fall in Australia, yes, the weather, I have to suffer from it a little bit. The same scenery, so you have like leaves falling down from the tree, like people get dressed in sweaters and things. It's like all sorts of things like that, but I don't feel attached to that image as much as this season right now, happening right now in the US. And I remember when I was in Vietnam, we didn't really have seasons, and we don't really have seasons, like ever. But I remember every time I watch YouTube video and it mentions fall makeup look, fall clothing style, and you know, everything culturally attached to fall, I feel like, wow, that's so cool, that's so trendy. And one year I made myself pumpkin spice latte. It was weird, like pumpkin spice, like you have pumpkin puree in the coffee. I guess the cinnamon tastes really nice with coffee, and I would give myself credit for that, for the courage that I took to make that coffee. But yeah, pumpkin. But every year right now when fall comes in the US, I think of that pumpkin spice latte, and I want a pumpkin spice latte. Even though I don't like it, even though I won't go out of my way and get one. I don't think that you can even get pumpkin spice latte here. Like, is there any place in Perth that sells pumpkin spice latte, I wonder? Or is it just an American thing? It proves to me how media oriented I am, and it's concerning. But I'm not sure if I could change. If I still live in Australia for the next few years, I will adapt myself to the Australian media more often, or I still keep being so attached and being so influenced and being so inspired by everything I watch across the world from the US. I'm gonna dip into this shade right here. It's called Roof. It's a brown, I think it's a mid-tone brown with a bit of a mustard undertone, like yellow khaki undertone, which is quite cool. And I'm trying to generate the fall vibe here, so I'm just go for every shade that gives me that earthy, natural, grungy vibe. I'm trying my best, but who knows what it's gonna turn out to be. With shade, I think my look is gonna be warm, but not too warm. I think it's the right choice of picking this shade so that I don't go too warm and too bright orange. This is very not me, but I think I'm gonna deepen up my outer corner. I'm torn. I'm not sure if I stick with all matte look, or I would put a kind of metallic shimmer but not sparkly shade, because yeah, there's no sparkly shade in this palette. But I think I'm gonna dip in my shade with this shade right here, Good is Gone. But I'm gonna mix it with this punk shade right here. So they are two browns with slightly different undertone. This is warm chocolatey brown, and this is kind of a grayish brown. I'm gonna mix them together. Ooh, ooh. I'm kind of pigmented, but I don't do this more often, so I'm already scared of having a very deep dark look. Maybe I want to go smoky today, I don't know. I don't hate it. Just doesn't feel quite like me. So I'm blending the edges out a little bit so that I can bring up a little bit of the warmth and this feel lightness to the look. I think it's fine. I think somehow the color is still pretty on point with the theme that I set out for myself. I think I do need a shimmer right now because I don't know. I would like a shimmer to line the look a little bit, to catch some light to my eyes. So I think the light shade that's light enough but still neutral enough, like I said, would be this one. It's called Schmuck. It's grungy. It has like yellow gold undertoned. So I'm gonna gently apply it at the outer part, just to, yeah. Wow. 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 Off camera, I applied the small shade to the other eyes, and I applied the shade right here. It's called Breakaway. It's not really a matte, not really a shimmer. I think it's kind of a sand, like a matte with a little bit of shine kind of shades, like a highlighter, like a very natural highlighter shade to the inner part of my eye. So I'm doing 2016 2017 YouTuber look right now, like a brightening shade in my inner corner, which I know a lot of people are still doing. Wow, so I feel like this look is so cool and interesting. This is not the look that I would go for every day. This is not my tone of makeup right now because the eye quite bold and it's leaning more on the matte side, leaning more on the glam smoky side. But I think it's a really great experiment. Like, I can see how my face looks so different with this tone of makeup. Just my opinion. Cool, really cool. I still think it's still fall, like especially with the fleece sweater that I have right now, with my earrings as well. I think the fall is falling. Or do you want to call it autumns? Like, I had an argument with my boyfriend that somehow he wants to call it autumns, but I still want to call it fall. I don't know which way is correct. Like, I don't come from any English speaking countries. Like, I say what I say. Let's finish with the lips. I have two products here with me. This is the Maybelline Powder Matte Sensational lipstick, I believe. I got the shade Toasted Brown. This shade brown. So cool. It's my favorite nude lipstick in my collections. Like, ever of all time. Look at the shade. It's so warm, but it's like neutral enough so that I can wear it like every day. I mean, you can wear any color every day, but I want a neutral color, like either a muted pink, muted mauve, or a neutral brown for my everyday look. I also brought out this BBIA or BBA. I really don't know. Like, after 7 years of doing makeup and using products from this brand, I don't quite really know how to pronounce the name. But this is the, I don't remember the exact name. Like, I should have known, like, because this is a bestseller, like classic product from this brand. It's a liquid lipstick. I got the shade number 12. It's a brick brown orange, way more warm tone than my Maybelline, so I'm mixing them together. And I want to have a matte lips today, not just because I already wear matte lipstick every single day already, but I don't think a glossy lip would be very appropriate for fall, or at least the fall culture that I'm thinking about. I think it's quite orange right now, probably because I mixed too much of this color, so I think this would help just by layering a tiny bit of the shade on top. I think this makeup look is very cool, and something wrong about it according to the contemporary consensus of how makeup should look and how natural makeup, no makeup, clean girl or dewy makeup kind of look adheres to. But I think that's the more interesting part of this look, because this look was very popular, say 6-8 years ago. I was thinking like 6, but probably longer than that. But there's something about this look that could be timeless in terms of, because this is attached to the season and you always get that season. So every year around this time, people will get back to, oh, there's a specific visions in my mind that I want to do, and this is the look, this is my go-to look. And specifically the lips, like this kind of lips color and also the lip formulations is not trendy right now. It's like a matte, it's a matte lipstick, but there's some creaminess in the Maybelline one. But overall it's very matte, and it's gonna dry it out and get even more matte than this. So it is not the preference right now. in the makeup beauty industry. People won't just produce like a cream classic lipstick. Like, don't get me wrong, some brands will still release something like that, but it won't go viral, and that's why it stopped a lot of other brands from doing the same thing. But I just love a matte lips. Like, it reminds me so much of the time that matte lipsticks have to be so drying and so crackly on your lips, but never with the Maybelline lipstick. This is an appreciation for these formulations, because around the time when people wanted a matte lipstick, this one became a staple in my collections for not being too mattifying. It's like creamy, emollient, feeling comfortable enough on my lips. So that's the end of the look. I have so much fun contemplating the products that I'm gonna use, the color that I'm gonna go for, and just a moment that I hop on a trend and just try the variety of this kind of fall inspired warm tone makeup look. I had so much fun with it. Once again, I'm Cloudy, and hopefully we'll see each other again. Bye!